been contacted by police officers and even by an attorney who advises police on how to deal with this. And what they don't, there's things that police officers don't want. And you've seen YouTube videos where police officers end up being the bad guy. And those videos go viral, and that police officer is now miserable because his name is known by thousands, if not millions of people, and his department is getting phone calls, and he's getting emails and letters and who knows what. He doesn't want to be the bad guy in a YouTube video that goes viral. So here's the thing that's great about that video that went viral. No one knows the names of the officers involved. I don't even know the names of the officers involved. I don't even know what department. There's an officer who waves the driver on, who does most of the encounter. I don't even know what department he was in. I got the what's called the after action report from that checkpoint, and I know there were 2 police agencies involved, the county sheriff and Florida Highway Patrol, but I don't even know which department that guy was in. And if you're a police officer and a video goes viral, you do not want your name associated with it. If you're the department, you don't want your department associated with it. You want that to go away like nobody talks about you. You want them to talk about anything but you.
Yeah, now I can see that being the response, that I want to play it safe in the age of YouTube, and I'd rather there are a million people we could pull over, and so we don't have to deal with this crackpot if we don't want to. We can pull over the next guy. On the other hand, you can imagine some officers' response would be, I'm going to show this uppity jerk, a thing or two for giving me a hassle.
Sure. And here's the problem for that. Number one, we're right. Okay? We're right on the law. And you don't know if you're that officer, are you prepared to be in federal court facing a lawsuit? Because that's what's likely to happen. Your case is going to get thrown out if you do it wrong. You're very likely, let's say you're a police officer and you decide, I'm going to order them out of their car. Now, my advice to people who use this is if the police officer gives a clearly stated order, you should comply. You should, if he says, I'm ordering you to roll down your window, at that point you probably should roll down your window. If you're looking to make a great YouTube video, then let him smash it in. All right? But if you're that police officer and you smash in that window, you are going to get sued and you are going to lose. There's a case pending right now in New Orleans where a police officer smashed in a window. He had much better reasons for smashing in the window than you'll have at a checkpoint or a traffic stop in the case we're talking about, this flyer. And the police officer moved to dismiss the case saying, I had proper reason for smashing in the window. And the judge said, no, that was excessive force. You didn't need to smash in the window. You do not want to face an excessive lawsuit in federal court. You do not want to get disciplined by your department. You don't want to create you don't want to be a celebrity in a YouTube video for the wrong reasons. Let them go. And also, there's another issue here. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution. This driver has asserted his constitutional rights. Are you going to respect your oath and the constitutional rights of that person who's asserted those rights? And look, if you have a really good reason why you're doing what you're doing, okay, but it better be really good.
But let's suppose I am pulled over for something where clearly there's no suspicion of DUI. It's just, I'm going 70 and the limit is 50 or something like that. I mean, there's a chance I could talk my way out of it. Whereas if I just put this thing on the window, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as you say, maybe they'll just go away. I mean,
sure.
I mean, so how do I roll the dice on that?
So my feeling is if it's a Wednesday afternoon, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, not a time when people are typically drinking, and you think you were going 12 over the limit, and it helps if you're white. I'm sorry, I think there's some bias in police agencies, and you get pulled over, and you figure it's probably speeding, and if you have a nice conversation with the officer, he might give you a break. And I've done this myself. I've gotten breaks. You got to judge that situation and decide. But if it's Friday or Saturday night, it's 11 o'clock at night, you've had a couple glasses of wine at dinner 4 hours ago, you do not want to have that conversation with that officer, and the cost of that ticket is going to be nothing compared to what could happen if that encounter goes wrong. So it's a matter of figuring out, everybody has to make judgment calls. The police officer gives an order. You have to make a judgment call. Am I going to follow the order? Or am I going to make him smash in the window or dare him to smash in the window? Everybody has those judgment calls they have to make. And that's an important distinction. I wanted to mention this in the course of the conversation. It's important to distinguish between a request and an order. If the police officer says, sir, would you please roll down your window, that's a request. If the police officer says, roll down your window, that's probably an order. If he says, roll down your window or else I'm going to smash it in, that's really an order. But you want to be clear and you want to be recording this conversation with your cell phone, smartphone, dash cam, whatever. You want to have a recording of this because that police officer is going to say later that you voluntarily rolled down your window, and you want to be ready to show, no, 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 no. No, that was not voluntary. That was an order. And then he's got to justify why he gave the order. But that's an important distinction. You don't roll down the window without being asked, and you do not roll down the window without being asked, and you do not roll down the window on a mere request. You've said at the bottom of the flyer, I will comply with clearly stated lawful orders. If he gives an order to roll down your window, if he gives an order to step out the car, as long as it's clear that it was an order, now your lawyer is prepared to challenge that police officer in court as to why he gave that order. That's the idea.
Tell me about what the press has been like. Who's been reporting on this? Of course, I saw Judge Napolitano came out in support of your flyer and what you're doing, but it's been in all kinds of mainstream outlets. It's been on Alternet, on the left. Has the response been overall positive? Has the media been fair? How do you assess it?
Yeah, I would say the media has been very fair. The one experience that was not fair was Inside Edition called me. One of the early national media contacts was from Inside Edition, and they interviewed me. And it was very clear in the interview that the reporter was trying to get me to be the bad guy. And I just stuck by my guns. The purpose of this is to protect innocent people. No, I don't think drunks can get away with this. And he kept asking me, don't you think it's reckless to put this in the hands of drunk drivers? And then they ended up not airing the interview because they didn't get what they wanted. But overall, I would say the media response has been very good. It started with some local media. Initially, the video went viral because of a website called theblaze.com did an article on it, and that's what I think spiked the video. And then I'd get a contact here, a contact there, and then the Associated Press called and did what I thought was very fair coverage, not overwhelmingly positive, but just sort of fair. And that article ran in the Washington Post, and the Washington Post probably has the best version of that article. It ran on news.yahoo.com, and it was actually on the Yahoo homepage. And it was, one of the things about the story, why the media kept covering it, and I think covered it fairly to an extent, was the response was very positive from readers. When you're in the media like that, you look for engagement. You look for people to comment. You look for people to share. The Blaze.com article was shared 23,000 times, which is good for us, but it's also good for the Blaze.com that people are sharing their article. The Yahoo News story had 3,600 comments when a typical Yahoo News story might get 100 comments. So it's really engaging the audience and people are responding to it. And then after the Associated Press story, CBS This Morning called. And they came to my house and we did an interview that they aired in the morning, and it ended up being the featured story, the #1 story on CBSNews.com that day. And again, it generated a lot of response from viewers and readers. And then I'm trying to remember, there was another one, I think, but I did Fox News and HuffPost Live the same day. So I was being hated. I like to say I get hated on the left and the right at the same time. But no, the response, even the anchors, I thought, was on Fox News, on Fox and Friends in the morning. It was on Fox News 3 or 4 times that day, including the Napolitano mention that you talked about. And I would say that, Shepard Smith seemed very positive about it. Very, very good response. And I think the issue underlying it is there's 2 groups of people out there that are responding to this. There's the Mothers Against Drunk Driving people who think it's evil. And there's the people who hate checkpoints, which I think is the majority of the population. Even my mother-in-law, who doesn't drink, hates checkpoints. Why are they stopping me? I didn't do anything wrong. They should leave us alone. I think that's a very common response a lot of people have. And the distinction, the thing that, of course, I think the people who hate checkpoints are right. I think that the mistake that people are commonly making who are critical of this, the factual distinction, where the way I see the world and the way they see the world, and I'm confident I'm right, of course, is they simply do not believe that innocent people get arrested, or they don't care that innocent people get arrested. They are completely they are completely uninterested in the consequences for an innocent person who goes through this process. They don't realize the thousands of dollars it'll cost them. They don't realize what it means to have your mugshot posted on the internet, what your neighbors think you're a drunk now. Here in Florida, you can get arrested When the police officer decides to take you to the station to have you blow in the real machine, the supposedly reliable machine that's not really, when they take you up there, it's over. You're going to be charged in Florida. Okay, whether you can blow a 0.00, and I've seen this, they will still file the charge in court. Your mugshot will still go on the internet, even though you blew a complete zero. Your case may get dismissed. I saw one where the case didn't even get dismissed right away. It's still pending. But, that's kind of astonishing. And people simply cannot accept, or they, like I said, Mothers Against Drunk Driving doesn't mind if innocent people get arrested. It furthers their mission. Their goal is to deter drunk driving. And if innocent people get arrested and convicted, it furthers their deterrence purpose. So I have never once seen any indication that Mothers Against Drunk Driving is interested in safeguards to protect innocent people from drunk driving arrests. They just don't care. It furthers that they want innocent people arrested.
The flyer that you're picturing that we see in that video is tailored to Florida law, and I understand that you've prepared some flyers for maybe a dozen or so states, and more are in process. People can find these at fairdui.org and sign up for your mailing list to be informed when more come out and when you have additional activities. I want to finish up by giving you a chance to talk about the topic we devoted our previous conversation to, which is your book, Fair DUI, which we'll link to the previous episode. We'll link to the book, everything we've talked about at tomwoods.com/348. But give us your 60-second pitch for the book.
Sure. It's got great reviews on Amazon, 31 reviews now, 4.8 stars, I think, 4.7 stars. It's written for regular people as opposed to a lot of law books that are written for lawyers. And it takes you through from the moment before you get in your car through after arrest, and just talks about the process in a way that regular people can understand. And it sheds light on some things. It talks about these issues in a way that I think other people don't talk about them. Practical ways to avoid drinking and driving. Chapter 2 talks about not having a single drink and driving a car, and practical ways to make sure you do that. And then the last chapter talks about better ways to make the roads safer than what we're doing now. Because what we're doing now does not work. We can do a much better job of making our roads safer and saving lives than what we're doing with this crazy DUI laws that we have.
Well, I loved the conversation that we had early on. I mean, the sound quality of the show, you get the real raw Tom Woods Show experience from that episode. But I knew if I ever had a show, I wanted to have you on, because when I heard you on the Mike Church Show on Sirius XM, you were just so fantastic. I thought, all right, that is a model guest. I want this guy. So tomwoods.com/348 is the clearinghouse for all this stuff. Fairdui.org is the direct way if you want to cut out the middleman. I appreciate what you're doing. I'm so glad that it's getting all this attention. This is just wonderful, a fantastic development for you, and congratulations.
Thank you, and there's more to come.
All right, everybody. It would be a shame to listen to this episode and not check out the show notes page. It's tomwoods.com/348. Just make a mental note of that and head over to tomwoods.com/348 when you have a second and watch this video and check out the links. I know you'll like them. While I was out of town for a few days last week and into this week, I had a lot of time to talk with Bob Murphy, and we are plotting some interesting things, including a couple of courses he's going to be producing for me for libertyclassroom.com. So now is the time, if you haven't joined us yet, to learn the history and economics they didn't teach you. Now's a great time. Remember, this is totally separate from the Ron Paul curriculum stuff I do for homeschoolers. That's totally separate. That's ronpaulhomeschool.com. This is a site for adult enrichment, although plenty of homeschoolers use it as well, with a dozen courses you can watch or listen to on the go, plus Q&A forums and more, with still more courses to come. Check it out and use coupon code SHOW in all caps to get a special discount at libertyclassroom.com. That's it for today, everybody. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow.
The Tom Woods Show.